There is a sound that a battlefield makes when it is collapsing on top of you. It builds from every direction at once. Chitin dragging across rock, servos cycling into firing position, the wet crack of a breach opening somewhere behind you. Each noise means something is getting closer. A whole lot of things are getting closer, and none of them are slowing down. The Orbital EMS Strike is one of the few things that can make that sound stop. The warrior 2 meters from your throat is frozen mid-lunge. The Devastator raising its arm cannon is locked with the barrel halfway up. For the next 15 seconds, every enemy in the radius is still alive, still aware, but unable to finish the motion they started. The battle pauses. At least it does if you want it to. Otherwise, that's just the beginning of what could be a turning point in this war. In the fight for freedom, everyone knows that we're already carrying too much. That's why so many people are switching to the Ridge Wallet, a compact, armored personal finance containment unit trusted across the galaxy. Forged from real metals like aluminum and titanium, the Ridge Wallet is built for longevity, with scratch-resistant, high-quality materials and a built-for-life warranty. It holds everything you need, up to 12 IDs and credit cards, all while staying slim so it won't take up a ton of room in your pocket. Plus, their wallets are RFID blocking, so you can be confident that no one is skimming your information on the go. Ridge keeps your essentials safe and locked down. And speaking of, Ridge now makes power banks. Lightweight, fast-charging backup batteries that keep your devices alive for when you need them the most. Not only do you get 2 per order, but they're fully ready to charge almost any kind of device with MagSafe wireless charging and built-in cables for both USB-C and Lightning. No more having to lug around spare cables when you travel. For more information, head on over to ridge.com/bubbins or check out the recommended Ridge products below. Thank you for the support. The Orbital EMS Strike fires a 110mm EMS cannon round from the primary battery of a Class 6 series super destroyer. 5 kilograms, 400 meters per second at launch. On direct impact, the projectile carries 300 points of damage at level 7 armor penetration. This kinetic energy alone will go through most things it hits. That pressure is enough to collapse stratagem jammers, detector towers, and fabricators. Basically, there's enough structural force in a 5 kilogram shell, traveling faster than the speed of sound, to level a building. While the kinetic impact is impressive, it's the delivery system that matters the most. Where a standard 110mm shell might carry an explosive core, the EMS round houses a high-density capacitor bank wrapped around a ferromagnetic pulse coil. On impact, the casing fractures along pre-scored brake lines and the entire stored charge dumps through the coil in under a millisecond. The result is not a detonation in any conventional sense, but a pulse wave that propagates outwards across a 13-meter radius, with a shockwave carrying residual energy to 20 meters. The pulse affects targets differently depending on what it's hitting. Terminid nervous systems run on bioelectric signaling. The EMS disrupts those signals at the synaptic level. The connection between brain and body goes dark. The bug is conscious, it can perceive its surroundings, but it cannot command its limbs to move. Automaton motor servos and targeting arrays rely on sequential electric impulses. The pulse floods those circuits with induced current, forcing a hard reset that takes the system 15 to 17 seconds to clear. And against the Illuminate, the interaction between electromagnetic disruption and psionic field manipulation is still being studied. Super Earth's research division has confirmed the effect, but they still cannot explain it. After the initial discharge, residual ionization lingers in the atmosphere for up to 17.5 seconds, forming a visible field. Enemies entering the cloud after the initial burst are slowed by the ambient charge, then fully stunned if they remain inside long enough. You unlock it at level 5 for 6,000 requisition slips. Call-in time is 4.45 seconds, reduced to 3.45 with the targeting software upgrade. fast enough that it can actually be used in emergencies. Default cooldown sits at a speedy 75 seconds. With all the upgrades installed, you reach just over 64 seconds between uses. For a 15-second stun window, that ratio is difficult to complain about. The caveat? The EMS does not kill. But sometimes that's all you need it to do. Jump pack into an automaton base for an objective, toss down the beacon, quickly do what you need to do, then get out. It gives you breathing room, preventing an encounter from spiraling out of control. Terminids swarm fast, often closing in before most stratagems arrive. Once a breach opens, warriors, hunters, and whatever else follows overwhelm you within seconds. EMS can intervene at the source, freezing that wave in place. For 15 seconds, the breach yields targets, not threats. And that 15-second window is yours. Use whatever you brought to get the job done, a barrage, a sentry, or your primary weapon. With nothing dodging or charging, you have some uncontested time. For automatons, the issue isn't numbers, but the fact that everything shoots you. Devastators track at range, berserkers close the gap before you can reload. On the bot front, the thing that kills you is not usually one enemy, it is 4 enemies firing from 4 different angles. You die in the crossfire, not the duel. The EMS shuts that crossfire down. For 15 seconds, every gun barrel in the radius is frozen. Hulks can be stunned, and most Helldivers who have dealt with Hulks know the problem. You need to hit the heatsink on the back, but the thing will not stop walking toward you long enough to let you get behind it. A frozen Hulk solves that. Circle it, hit the weak point, and move on. When facing the Illuminate, the EMS might make its strongest case yet. Voteless arrive in tight groups and survive by staying mobile. The EMS pins them in place. Flesh mobs, those charging threats that shrug off most crowd control mid-rush, can only be stopped by 2 things in this war: the G-109 Urchin Grenade and the Orbital EMS Strike. When multiple flesh mobs are within 3 meters of your squad, this is one of the few weapons that can help. Plus, the EMS is also safe near civilians. No explosion damage means no collateral kills of the people you are there to protect. In Illuminate city operations where casualties can set you back, a stun field carries less risk than anything with a blast radius. Deciding what to pair with the EMS is up to you. The Orbital Gas Strike is the natural companion. The EMS holds enemies still. The gas fills that space with damage per second and confusion. You can either overlap the two so they can do nothing but breathe in the toxic fumes, or you can offset them a bit. 15 seconds of damage and confusion, followed by 15 seconds of stun. That's 30 seconds where you don't have to worry about enemies. The Eagle Cluster Bomb and the Airstrike are the fast follow-ups that you may want to take with this. The EMS holds enemies long enough for the Eagle to arrive and detonate in the stationary group. Sentries are a nice hands-off option. An autocannon sentry at a choke point turns the EMS into a kill zone that operates without you. Drop the stun and let the turret fire for 15 uncontested seconds while you focus somewhere else. There is a moment in most operations where a Helldiver realizes that the next 5 seconds will decide whether they survive or force the super destroyer to thaw out yet another soldier. The Orbital EMS Strike proves that you do not need a massive explosion to completely shift the tide of battle. While other stratagems focus on dealing raw damage, the EMS Strike focuses on the single most important resource on the map: time. Instead of panic rolling away from a heavy assault, you are gifting your team a 15-second window of pure, uncontested target practice. If you are tired of watching your mission spiral out of control because of a single bad engagement, maybe it's time to change your approach. Let your teammates bring the heavy, high cooldown explosives. Take the utility slot yourself, control the flow of the entire drop, and start turning desperate survival situations into textbook extractions. Well folks, that's the EMS Strike. One I've been looking forward to doing for a long while, just the lore and thought behind this, working on all 3 different factions, is just interesting to think about. There are only 3 orbitals left: Smoke, 380, and Laser. Last time around, Smoke seemed more popular. Is that still the case, or would you rather see the 380 or Laser first? Let me know what you think we should tackle next in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe while you're on the way. As always, I appreciate every ounce of your support. For now though, I think that's it. I'll see you next time.